One more point I want to really bring up is how hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to talk about being a salon owner at 23. So I wanted to give some advice to some people who are thinking about either opening up a salon suite, or maybe you're just curious about what it takes to make sure you're ready to open up a salon suite. So I really want to give the true ins and outs about some of the things to expect when opening your salon suite and how to kind of figure out if this is right for you, and kind of talk about how I found out that this is what I want to do. I'm also going to be twisting my hair, so yeah, while I'm twisting, I'm going to be telling about my story and just giving y'all some tips. So if that interests you, then keep on watching. So my goal is mini twists, so we'll see how small I can get them because I actually don't have a lot of time. I tried to have as much time as possible, but things happen. I want to talk about my journey and how I decided, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open up my suite. So I was actually working at a salon for about, it wasn't a full year actually by the time I decided. Basically, I had a lot of clientele coming in, which, you know, that is a huge blessing and I'm so grateful for that. It was a lot of clientele coming in and it was just a lot of work that I was having to do at the salon I was at. I just was not being properly compensated. And so when you're not properly compensated but you're doing extra work, you're gonna get more burnt out and frustrated a lot quicker. And so basically I had decided, you know, there's certain products I want to use, there's certain things that I want to try out for myself and for my clients that I really like, that not everybody else really knows about or cares about. No, so I deal with a lot of natural hair and I love to do curls. I love learning about like twists and taking care of natural hair in general, healthy scalp, all that kind of stuff. And so what would happen is sometimes I just wouldn't, you know, get the same type of care from a lot of other people that I was working with. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their own niche and everything, so that's fine. It's just that I really wanted to focus on natural hair. I didn't want to have to be forced to do a lot of other styles. And so when you're wanting to open up a salon suite, the whole idea is you're your own boss. You're in control. You make the rules. You know, it's all that whole glamorized thing, which of course that is the reality of it. You are your own boss, essentially. But that's also the thing. You're your own boss. So with being your own boss comes a lot of other things too with that. So basically, that's what kind of drove me to want to open up my own suite. I wanted to just control a lot of aspects of the business. And honestly, I felt like I could make a lot more profit by being my own boss and not having to have an owner over me, which, you know, I am young and I felt like, why not just try it out? If I fail, I can try again or whatever. But I just felt like it was worth the risk because I won't know until I try. And so yeah, so I started looking around salon suites in my city and comparing prices and things, and y'all, salon suites are expensive, especially for what you get. Now, of course, a lot of salon suites, they have variants, so there's different things that you would like about some versus others, but still, like, it's basically the same thing. You get a room, you have to buy your own everything, you know, it's your own business. I was preparing as much as I could. You know, I would watch videos like these and just kind of pay attention to what was coming into the salon, how much clients I was bringing in, because at the time I was commissioned. So I was only making 42% on every single service that I did. So if a service was $62, I was only making 42% commission off of that. So in my mind, I'm like, well, if I charge the full price, you know, I can figure out how much and budget and da-da-da to make myself, you know, a bit more profit, because I think I can do more than 42%. And so yeah, that's when I started just looking around and finding different suites to kind of look at and tour at and comparing and the pros and cons, and there was a lot of back and forth. but I ended up finding one that I really liked. So, you know, I found this one and I was so happy. It was my first salon suite, and I loved it. It was great. The people were great. The owner was really amazing, and I had a really great experience working there. But then I guess the reality started to seep in when I was getting to that like half a year kind of mark. So y'all, first of all, I want to talk about opening costs. How much does it cost to even open up a salon suite? Now, when people think of a salon suite, some people don't think of it as like a full salon business, but it is. It is. You have to have the same licensing, and you have to make sure that all of your tax things are up to date. You have insurances. So you have a lot of things that you have to make sure are in place, and you don't have to have an LLC. DBA is great, which is free. I made a plan to, one, make sure I had my marketing as secure as possible. So I guess it does go into pricing, but I'll get to that point later. But you really do want to have your money situation good, and I say that like you want to have your cash flow good, your savings good, your credit good, because you're gonna need all of that to open up a salon. Like, it's a small salon, yes, but there's still a lot of things that go into it. So when I opened up my first salon suite, I probably spent about $5,000, and that was at the time, I think that's probably all, like, just to open it. That's not including the savings that I had, because you want to have enough savings in case you're slow for, maybe you're slow 3 months in a row, 4 months in a row. The longer that you save, the better security blanket that you're giving yourself. It just puts a lot of pressure off of you when you're initially starting, so you can focus more on like doing the hair and focusing on the marketing and not stressing out about the bills, because you already have that covered. You got a full saving. You know, credit is very important, because there's a lot of different finance companies that you can put things on. Like, if you need to get a chair for your room, if you need a dryer, if you need, you know, big expensive equipment, you can get that on financing. So having good credit, it really does help. Now, for me, I didn't get my LLC actually until this year. So last year, I didn't operate with the LLC. So I didn't put it on business credit. I had it on my personal credit. So, you know, you just want to make sure that either way it goes, it's as good as it possibly is, so that you can get the best rates, the best tools, the highest level, the highest quality, because that's how you can actually charge what the expectation and experience will be. So initially, I just didn't know how much it was gonna cost. So first of all, you have to make sure that you are paying your rent. Rent is weekly. So you're paying rent weekly. It basically equated to almost how much I pay for my, well, yeah. At the time, yeah, it was about how much I paid for my apartment at the time, actually. So when I was living in my apartment, it's like I'm paying a double rent. So you have to think, your business has to fund your life. You don't want to have to fund your business. So your business has to pay for you, your lifestyle, as well as the business. That's why pricing is a certain way, usually with business owners. It's different than a hairstylist that's on commission or something like that, or an employee, because the owner has business expenses as well as their personal expenses. So when I transitioned from the salon to my suite, and I was still charging salon prices that I was doing from commission, I was basically feeding my business. I was basically having to pay and fund my business. My business wasn't funding me, you know, and that's where the issues draw in, and that's where I saw that a lot of stylists, that's where that whole, you know, the average is like $25,000 a year, and all of that is because we end up having to feed our business. There's a lot that goes into operating the day-to-day, the week-to-week, and so when we're, you know, literally having to fund the business, and the business is not being able to pay for us, then that's where the issue comes in, and burnout starts to happen a lot quicker. The smart thing to do is to, of course, apply to grants. Grants is free money, but it's not easy money. It's free money, it's not easy money, okay? Nothing free is easy, especially when it comes to money. So, you know, you have to do your due diligence when it comes to that. The applications, it just depends on where you go and, you know, who you get it from, but you just submit application and boom. Now, I haven't done it yet. Okay, that is definitely something that I'm trying to do. So all the money right now has been self-funded, and I need to be able to unlock more ways to get additional funding so that I can grow. Until then, I'm kind of just going at my steady pace and doing as much as I can with the business, and it's going really, really well. I don't want to have to invest so much in personal before I can get more capital. So that's the name of the game. Now, another thing, like I said, when I was trying to decide, I was nervous because I'm like, what if I have days where I'm not booked and whatnot? And that's where marketing yourself comes in. So that's another really good thing to really pay attention to. Are you great at marketing yourself? And marketing is not just social media, social media is a part of marketing, but social media itself is not the only marketing thing that you can do. So ways that you can market yourself, you gotta show yourself, you gotta be out there, you gotta, put your face out there, go to different local events, getting in touch with local small businesses. My clients, I have a lot of small business owners, so it's a lot easier to network that way. And then referrals are gonna be your best friend. Referrals is really a big part of how I was able to grow my clientele, and so that was like the old school number one way to do it. It's still the number one way to do it, Social media, yes, it's great visibility, but word of mouth, people trust someone else's personal experience a lot more than just reading something online or seeing a picture, They're gonna trust like, hey, you should go to here. Okay, I'm gonna go to there because you said so, Now, I wouldn't say there's like a definite number of clients you need to have, because let's say like you're a braider and you charge like a certain amount. I don't know how much clients that would equate to where you would need to make a full-time income, but for me, the average natural hairstylist, I always say having at least 50 to 60 clients that see you consistently, and you're only going to know consistency for at least after a year. It's hard to track with 1 year. Even 1 year I'll have new clients come and then maybe they won't come for a whole year and then they'll come again. So the longer you can keep that track record, the better that you can see the pattern and the trends for how often people are coming. But you definitely want to keep note of that, because that's going to tell you what your numbers are, your retention rate, how often you can retain new clients, those numbers, that type of thing. So it's really important to keep in mind for all of that so that you can track that later on and you can know like, okay, well, boom, like I have this person coming in every 2 weeks. I have this person coming in, once a week. So it's like that type of thing. And you want to have at least, like I said, about 50 to 60. That leaves room for the new clients. You have those stable clients that are coming, and then you have room for new clients. So then you're able to have that potential of like 80 clients. And then of course you can still grow from there. So that's the goal. The goal, if you're having a business, is to grow. And so that's one of the biggest ways, is having a good clientele and having them, refer. I have a referral program that I feel like really helps to keep the referrals coming. 10% off for the person that refers and the person that comes. So that's a nice little initiative. So, you could do something like that. There's so many different ways to do it. When I do ads on Facebook, I usually put you want to do at least 100 behind it, and you can promote, like maybe you want a certain service that you promote, a certain haircut, a certain thing that you learned from a class that you recently took. You can use that and promote it on an ad, and that reaches a lot of people as well. That's a big way how I use social media with ads. Of course, you want to be consistent. I'm not consistent, but I am trying. But consistency does pay off. People want to see you though. They want to see your face. They want to see what it is that you're doing. Like, show off your work. Don't be afraid to show off what you do. I like to say anything is content too. So when I was starting off, I would just film anything and, put it on everything. Stories, posts, reels, any type of short form, long form video format you want to do, YouTube videos, whatever you want to do, just put it on there and just get that out there, get that image out there. Networking, like I said, in real life is very important too. Go to different networking events. When you meet people, make sure you have your business cards available. Make sure you always bring like your A game. I don't know, just like present wise, like look good, feel good, your energy will radiate. A lot of people really do pick up on that. And you know, you're golden. I mean, your personality sells it mostly, to be honest. Growing a clientele is one part, you know, statistics and you know, all the numbers and oh, you got to do it like this. But then another part is your personality too. I put a lot of my personality into what I do, and I do feel like that's a big reason why a lot of people come to me. You know, that's one of the ways that you grow a clientele. It's a people's industry. People love people, and you're gonna most likely attract clients who are like you, so that makes it a lot easier to be cool and friendly with those people. That's another thing too. Yes, the guest experience is so important. My cosmetology school talked about this so much, and I mean, it's true. Like, I've always been in customer service. I worked at Sally's, I've worked at Aldi's cash register, just customer service in general, and so that's always come like kind of second nature to me, but it does go a long way. Like, being hospitable, being nice, being generous, smile, you know, attentive, listening, and you know, hearing, not just letting it, oh, okay, yeah, cool, you know, like actually following up on that, remembering, being genuine though. I'm very genuine with what I do. I don't just say stuff just to say stuff, you know, that's very energy draining. So I just like to be as genuine as possible, and people feel that, you know, especially when you're doing hair. It's such a personable thing. It's so intimate. You're in someone's like scalp, you know, you're in their hair. You want to make sure that whatever you're putting in is actually good, because that's some real stuff. It's real, you know. I'm very attentive to like my mood and stuff when I am doing hair, because if I'm in a bad mood and I'm trying to make $1, you know, the other person feels that, and they might think like the next time they try to book, like, it was that time and she didn't even feel like she wanted to do my hair, you know. And I've had even experiences of like that with other stylists when I've gone to get my hair done. So I just say that customer service does go a long way. It's like, it's a lot of technical that goes into doing hair, but customer service should not go away. We still need good people to do this job, you know. And of course, some days are hard. You kind of have to push back, you know, sometimes your own personal beliefs or your own personal feelings. If you may disagree with what someone's saying, it's like you have to think it's not that serious. I have to kind of just, you know, move on and just not take it to heart. And that's definitely a skill, but you know, the more that you're practicing it, the easier it does get. You kind of have to take your feelings out of it to a certain point. You don't want to hold on to things too much, but you also don't want to be too jaded to where you can't even feel and, you know, sensitize. So it's like a balance with it. You know, when clients tell me things that happen that are like really sad or really bad, it's like I feel really bad. And I'm glad that they trust me with telling me this information, but I can't internalize it, you know. And that's the thin line. How do you feel for somebody, but like not to the point where it affects you and your mood to where you have to do the next client and you have to present a whole fresh, you know, personality. So it's like a little juggling game with that. I think something a lot of people don't realize though, when you're your own boss, I mean, you are the boss. So you're in charge of everything. If the, you know, towels don't get folded, they're not gonna get folded. Like, if I don't fold them, they're not gonna get folded. If I don't answer the phone, it's not gonna get answered. If I don't buy products, it's, you know, I'm not gonna have product. At the moment, I don't have staff or anything, so I don't have anybody to like rely on. So when you're opening a suite by yourself, you know, that was something I didn't really think about as much. Like, of course, it's like, oh yeah, I got it. Of course, I brought my own products anyway. It's cool. But it's like, whew, you're tired after work, you ran out of something, the store might be closed, you gotta go in the morning. You know, it's just all these different things, and then it just does take a lot of time. So it's like all the extra tasks that you have to do, you have to do it, but it can be a time consumer thing too. And so it's like, I wish I could book clients like back to back, but I need at least like 15 minutes in between so I can actually clean and disinfect and wash my tools before the next client, because otherwise it'll be like, you know, because, you know, if I don't clean in between, it's gonna pile up, and then I'm left with a bigger mess by the end of the night, and I'm frustrated. So I have to clean in between clients, and I'm my own assistant. You know, I have my booking site as my like assistant. It books everybody for me. It's so great. It keeps track of every single body's name, number, their last appointment details, their trims, their treatments, their color formulation. It keeps track of all of that. It's the best assistant I've ever had, you know? And I use that as my full assistant because I can't keep track in my head. I have 1,000,001 things that I have to think about, and then it's like to remember those things too. So, you know, I have my booking software, which is Vagaro, which is great because it keeps track of all of that stuff. It makes booking very simple. Point I really want to bring up to kind of tie into how, like, you know, you are the boss. Everything is you. Everything is on you. So you are your brand. You are the face of it. If there's any problems, you're the one that handles it. If there's any repairs that needs to be made, you're the one that handles it, okay? A couple weeks ago, my hot water in my room, my suite, went out. So I didn't have hot water for like 3 days. And you know how frustrating that is? And it's like, I'm the owner. Now, I don't own this building, of course. I rent it, but I'm the owner of my, you know, my suite, my room. And my room was the only one without hot water. And so it's like, that's one of those things. Even a couple of months ago, my sprayer hose, it was broken, so I couldn't even use the bowl. Like, I couldn't even use the bowl. There was water leaking everywhere, every single time I opened up the faucet, because the hose had a hole in it, so it was leaking water everywhere. So I was frustrated, and that's one of the realities of being a boss. You have to just kind of take care of it. And I had to, you know, get the maintenance and stuff, but I can't help when they get it fixed, you know? I can only put the request in. So that was very stressful. Taxes. Taxes, y'all. Pay quarterly taxes. Just pay quarterly taxes, okay? Something I wish they went over a little bit more in beauty school. Okay, enough perm rod settings. We need to learn more about some taxes, but especially when it comes to salon suite owners. And they knew that was one of the #1 dreams of a lot of people in this school too. So that's what's kind of crazy that they didn't elaborate on that a little bit more. So I say all that to say, if you are thinking of opening up a suite, basically have at least $8,000 saved, I would say, on average. And that depends on what your location is. That depends on what your rent's gonna be. You know, you have to price your services at what your expenses are. What I pay is probably not what you pay. What your neighbor pays probably isn't what you pay. So only price according to what you actually have to pay for and what your expenses are, not what your neighbor is. You know, I would say think about a niche. A niche is always great to get people to know about you and in your own space. Like, oh yeah, that's the girl that does blah, blah, blah. Oh, if you want a girl that does that, go to so-and-so. My niche is natural hair, so people know me to come for curls, healthy hair, the whole shebang. And so I like being known for one thing versus don't come to me thinking that you're gonna get a whole bust down unit or something. Like, you'd be wasting your money, I promise. Do your research. Just do your research. But you gotta believe in yourself. You gotta believe that you can do it. That's the main thing, actually. I had to believe that I could do it before anybody told me that I can. I had to believe that I could. And then you keep going and you keep going, and you might trip and you might fall and you might stumble, but you get up and you keep going. That's the only way you're gonna be able to succeed. You have to just keep on going. It's hard work. It's endless nights sometimes. But if it's your dream and this is something you want, it's worth it. Another thing I really want to bring a point to is the whole like work-life balance. So right now I have a dog and I like to be able to take care of her. She is my baby. You know, I can just imagine how hard it can be if I had kids, or for the mothers who are also business owners. It's a lot to like balance life and work. I find myself, to be honest, I joke about it, but I work like 24/7. Like, I'm always doing something for business, whether it's like social media related, or I'm thinking of ways to improve business. I'm looking on ways to make the visibility online a lot better. So I'm always just like, my brain is always thinking like, okay, you know, what can I do here? What can I do here? And it's hard sometimes to like turn that off. I kind of try, so right now what I try to do is a bit more of like hobbies and activities that's outside of business, because it can get consuming. You know, hair used to be my main hobby. Like I used to do this for fun. Now I do this to earn an income, and I have a business with it. So it's not always going to be fun. It's not all fun and games, you know, it's business. So at the end of the day, you know, that can get tiring sometimes, and you don't want it to take the fun out of what you do. So I have to split my time up by doing other hobbies and things that I enjoy, so that I don't lose the spark that I have for doing hair. And so that's just a balance thing that we have to do. We have to figure out, or if you're thinking of opening like a suite and being the owner, you have to make sure you have time for your business, time for yourself, and time for like your relationships and friends and hanging out and living life, because that's what you have a business for. Essentially, is to live a good life. Nobody gets a business and say, oh, I want to struggle, I want to be in debt. Like, no. The point of having a business is to make profit and potentially have a good life from said profit. So that is why I just had to start doing more things like modeling and getting more into my photography, because, you know, it's hard just focusing on one thing. It becomes like your world. Now it's like you're working 24/7 and you're not enjoying the fruits of your labor, and that can get very exhausting quickly. So I try to break it up for sure. I think like another just reality to keep in mind is that you're going to be doing, you know, most of your stuff by yourself. Like you're going to be promoting yourself by yourself. You're going to be having to make sure everything is done by yourself. I don't have a second hand or second person to tell me like, hey, did you make sure you ordered you know, back bar this week? Did you make sure that you know, did this, that, and the third, on top of having to be on top of your own personal? So I think that's kind of what makes it the biggest challenge. Business is like a whole nother entity itself. Imagine if you're having to take care of someone else's bills, someone else's, you know, rent, utilities, someone else's credit score, someone else's finances, and someone else's income, as well as the distribution. It's a lot of different layers to that, and the main thing is that you can't get it, you know, muddled and interacted with your personal life, especially with income. That's where a lot of issues come through. So really the best advice I can give is, this is something that definitely takes time to execute the best way. It's going to take time to build your clientele and get that like trust rapport built. You know, you want clients that are like they come to you, like you are the one to do their hair. You know, that's the kind of trust you want to be able to build. You want to be able to maximize as much as possible your actual skill set. So continuing classes. I just took a class, the Rizzo level 1 curly cut class a couple of weeks ago. So I'm now Rizzo level 1 certified, so I can cut wavy and loose curly curls, and I'm so glad to have that certification, because now that allows me to know what I'm doing when I do have that kind of client sit in my chair. Always want to expand on your education. Knowledge does not stop just because you graduated, you know? And I feel like there's so many new things out now that, you know, there will be a new thing like every day, for real. And it's so easy to not be able to get caught up on it, and before you know it, you're behind the trends. So taking classes helps to keep you relevant. You know, sometimes I'll have clients sit in my chair and they're talking about something, and I'm like, how do you know about that? Because I've never even heard of that. Like, what are you talking about? So you don't want your clients to feel like, dang, like this girl never know what I'm talking about. She is not on it. Like, you want to build your your reputation and your know-how, so that people can trust you when they sit in your chair. You don't want someone, you know, constantly trying to look in the mirror what you're doing and turning around or touching their hair while you're touching their hair, and they're just not trusting you. You know, it's like, I need clients who trust me and I know what I'm doing. So that's where the extra classes and trainings are so important for elevating yourself, not only as a business owner, but as a stylist as well. You don't want to get rusty. You want to keep that fluid as much as possible. All right, so I got the twists in. I don't know how good they look, especially in the back, but I just know I don't gotta touch my hair for a minute. And I put these clips right here to kind of weigh it down and stretch it down for a little bit. But a style like this, I'm trying to get at least 2 weeks out of it. but you can get a good 2-3 weeks or so. They're gonna definitely frizz. They're gonna frizz as the days go on, but I can do styles with it now. Put it up like that. You know, have a look like that or something, but I'ma just do it like that. So yeah, y'all, if you want me to make a part 2 explaining a little bit more detail on any of the things I talked about, definitely let me know in the comments below. This is a topic that I can go in depth with a lot more, but this is kind of just the overview of what to expect owning or renting your first salon suite and getting your first hair business started. So if you want to see more videos like that, just let me know and I got you. But until then, I'll see you in my next one. My DM 6 figures and I'm counting. 9 figures was the goal till I hit the these niggas ain't living so very mind with me. When I die for my money.